today we're going to do something different. I've invited my daughter, Annie, to join me today in honor of Mother's Day. Our relationship is actually fairly new. We adopted Annie in 2016 when she was just 15 from Bogota, Colombia. And so I thought it'd be a nice idea if we actually interviewed each other. And so I don't know how this is going to go. Boy. After all, she is still a teenager.
Oh boy.
But yeah, so just to kind of give context, my husband and I were looking to adopt since 2004, basically. And it kind of, because we both took artistic paths, it really took us a while to kind of get financially stable enough to adopt. And we did always want to adopt. And we tried to adopt from Japan, actually, for about 5 years, and that never happened, and just because of bureaucracy and everything else. So I came upon a Facebook group, scrolling through my feed, and there was this program to host a child from Colombia. All the kids were 9 and over, and so we got matched up with Annie. It was 3 weeks in 2016. Oh yeah, so 3 weeks in 2016. So you got adopted in 2017. Sorry. But she came over for 3 weeks, and that's when we kind of got to meet each other, which was awesome. And then we adopted her a year later, right?
Yeah.
So why don't you start, and then you can tell us about your background, how long you lived in the orphanages for.
Yeah, sounds good. Hello. My name is Ana Maria. As mommy said, I'm from Bogota, Colombia originally, and I lived in orphanages for around 10 years. So I I was with my biological parents from 0 to around 5, and from 6 to 16 pretty much, close to 16, I lived in the orphanages. There were a lot of them. I moved from one place to the other because, administration issues and decisions. We really didn't have a lot of control over that, so we just moved a lot according to whatever person was in office and what they wanted to do.
Yeah, so okay, so let me ask you, what was the biggest challenge about living in an orphanage? Because orphanages are actually kind of rare now. I mean, most kids, especially in the U.S., there are no orphanages. Everyone goes into foster homes.
Right.
So it's very Oliver Twist, and you don't even know what that means, but
yeah, I have no idea what that means.
But and it should be known that Annie actually did not know any English when she arrived.
Yeah, so I apologize. That's why I made a funny face before, because
So there was a lot of Google translating in the beginning. Yeah. And actually, and should also note that when her adoption was finalized, she was 2 months shy from 16, and you cannot actually adopt internationally after the age of 16. And I was 49, and my husband was 50. So we were older, and we became a family as older parents. And so part of this is to kind of get people just to open a window in terms of older adoptions, and they're not as scary as you may think.
I'm pretty great.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty great.
She's pretty great. Yeah, she's pretty great. No. But yeah, so you came over. Okay, so what was the biggest challenge about living in an orphanage?
Well, there's a lot of things, but I guess if I could say one, and this, I know that definitely doesn't apply to every kid that has lived in an orphanage. But for me, I am from Colombia. We're like super dramatic, passionate. Telemundo is the thing in our family. And I just really, really wanted a family. And in the orphanages in Colombia, funny thing is, not everybody who's living in an orphanage is actually an orphan. Many kids come into the system, and then when their parents are ready to take them back, they just go. So there's kids that last there for 6 months, a year, 2 years, but they leave. However, there's a pretty small group that has stayed their pretty much entire teenage years and since childhood in the orphanages. And so it's really difficult. I guess a challenge is to see everybody, a lot of kids, come and go with their families, and you being like not being able to do that, having to stay and having to see all these families come and go, and you like pretty much being stuck in there. So that's, I think that was really hard.
So you asked me a question.
Wow. Why? No, I guess. Well, I guess the reason why you looked into the Colombian orphanages was because for the Facebook ad, right? That. Well.
No, Colombia was not on my radar. I have Colombian friends, but it was not even. And older adoption was also not on our radar either. But because we were older, we figured, what was the worst that could happen? We would host this kid for 3 weeks. Either we bonded or we didn't bond. And at the end of the day, he or she got to spend 3 weeks in New York City. I mean, it's like, there was like no downside to that. That's why we did it.
Oh, okay. Well, from that, I guess I'm wondering, did you have any, did you wanted it to be a girl or a boy, or it didn't matter? Or how did you make it?
Non-binary.
Yeah, non-binary.
I did not care. Daddy cared. Daddy really wanted a girl. He did not want a boy. He thought boys were going to be too much trouble, which I don't know why.
I've been plenty.
Girls can do their thing too. So, yeah. So for us, for me, it didn't matter. I didn't care. So when you first met us at the airport.
Oh, I have a funny story about this, but please go ahead.
So what were your first thoughts when you saw us? Because we were not allowed to talk about adoption. We were not allowed to talk about anything that had to do with becoming a family.
We were not allowed.
We were just hosting. Yeah, we were just literally supposed to host this child from Colombia for 3 weeks.
Yeah, but it was definitely, I have this thing where I don't listen to half of the instructions. And well, first, oh my goodness, it was really emotional. Mom cried, Dad cried, I cried, everybody cried.
But we were not mom and dad yet.
Right. It was really
just random people.
Yeah, it was like random people, but we just it was weird because I came out of the tunnel after the plane, and I had my little bag with me, and then I had spoken with them 2 weeks before that on a video call. And well, I knew their faces, so I knew who to run to. But we just it was weird. We just kind of clicked, and we just hugged, and we just started crying. It was a little weird. But then we got in the car, and I was in the back seat, and I said, "So, do you want to adopt me?"
No, you asked. You were like, "Do you guys want to be parents?" And we're like, "What?" We're like, "Okay, it is 6:00 in the morning. What is this girl?"
I know.
And of course we were like, "Yes, we want to be parents someday." Trying to keep it vague. But anyway, So we went and did all the paperwork. The paperwork is no joke, for sure. I mean, it is tons of paperwork to adopt any child. If it was this difficult to give birth to a child, we would not have a population problem on this globe, because it is serious. And so we were asked to go to Colombia for a month. So once we got the date, we flew down there, and yeah, so that meeting was.
Oh boy. We got there.
And I have to say, there was a lot of anticipation, right? It's because, Paul and I, my husband and I, we were married for 20 years without a child. We had dogs all the time. And so there was a little nervousness about how smooth this was going to go. Of course, how the transition was going to go. And that's what was so odd, is that, you realize that it's all in your head, right? And that if you just relax, it's not as the transitions just go a lot easier.
I want to say, like, of course, emotionally there's a lot of walls that need to come down, because it's a big deal. It's a really long process, but there were just some things that felt very natural to.
Like what?
Well, I'm not completely sure how to even explain it, but it's just like a sense of comfort, if that makes any sense. And I'm just not. I don't know how to explain it. If when I figure out the words, I'll come back to it. I promise.
So what were you most nervous about in terms of having parents?
Oh, well, this is a big deal. I was really scared because being an older child, first, there's pretty much no hope for you. Like, there's no hope for you. Like, we're thrown into the corner to, like, figure out ourselves in our lives.
And I would say that's pretty much after what age? Do you
Probably like 10.
Then
Even
you-
before that. Probably around 7, 8. From 8 up,
You're told that
you're
your
told,
chances-
like, you're not gonna get adopted, so you just might as well get on the good side of the caretakers and work hard until you're 18. So hopefully you'll stay another year and be able to get a job and work, and on the best scenario, go to college. And so with that comes a lot of baggage, because emotional, physical, any sort of thing. Like, living in orphanages is really hard. It's this bunch of kids that are completely underloved, underappreciated, abused, mentally, physically, sexually, any type of abuse that you could think of. Kids in orphanages have gone through it.
Well, I think that that's why a lot of people shy away from adopting an older kid too.
Right.
But I want to say that I think that, it's not been, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to say easy, but it's not. Everything, the transition was not smooth. I mean, I think that would be for any kid. Even if I birthed a child and, like, had a teenager, it would still, any parent of a teenager knows that there are challenges no matter what. So, of course, they do have extra layers of complication, but I don't feel like it's also anything that can't be solved and can't be worked on with time and communication and love and understanding.
Right.
And, and we were both on both sides willing to do that, right? So even, me as an adult, I grew up with a family, but I still have my own baggage that I'm bringing to the table as well as, my husband. So it's like, nobody comes clean. That's the thing. That, you know what I mean? Everybody has something, and it's just how we choose to deal with it, right?
Right. I guess something to add to that is the fact that, like, we're all in a sense a little broken, but just because we're broken, like, of course there's so many layers to add to the definition of a teenager, but underneath all that, like, at the core, I've definitely talked about it with you a lot, and I don't want to cry because this makes me really emotional. But beneath all those issues and fears and insecurities and all those years of, like, abused, there's just, like, a little girl or a little boy or just a little person that just really, really, really wants to be loved so badly. And so I feel that as long as, well, of course for us, as long as I know that somebody in the world wants to love me and I want to be loved by that person, then all those, like, broken little pieces, like, you can glue them together, but that's, like, the whole point, that somebody in the world chooses to do that with you, even though you're broken already. And I think that's beautiful. I love you.
happened. Hello.
No, yeah, I totally meant to make you cry.
That's great. Thank you. That's really sweet. But on a happier note, no, I mean, I think that it's just, this has been the most extraordinary decision that we've ever made, to become a family, and that we chose to become a family. And somehow in the universe, you know, we talk about the fact that there were at least 100 people that had to make certain decisions for Annie to come into our lives and for us to be here at that moment to adopt her and become a family. Because for all the challenges that we've had, we just all know that we just belong together. Like that's the weirdest thing, and that's, I think, the biggest question that people ask me, you know, in terms of like, how did you adjust, and wasn't it hard, and what's the weirdest thing? And I feel like the weirdest thing was that it wasn't weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think that just, and now she's going to be going off to college.
Already. My God.
So she'll be, you know, adopted officially 4 years this summer. And so I just, you know, so I just wanted to celebrate this moment that, you know, there are moms all over the world. I lost my mom recently, and there's always something special about, you know, a mother's bond with their children, right? And so I wanted to celebrate that today. And so that families are created in all different kinds of ways. And it's so lovely. And, you know, we just have to be grateful for those things.
Yeah. I love my mom.
So happy Mother's Day.